Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
Good morning and a very warm welcome to Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And joining me this morning is our dear friend Hemant Surya, President's Counsel, Senior Attorney. How are you, Hemant?
Fine. Faraz, thank you very much for inviting us.
It's good of you to come here so early and so on. On a day that we are greeted with the sad news that 34 have been killed in 3 explosions in the Belgian capital of Brussels. It brings home to me what a wonderful job our forces and our intelligence services have done in maintaining the peace in this country since 2009. Don't you think that is refreshingly encouraging for us here in Sri Lanka?
I believe in this entire scenario of tackling terrorism, the Western powers have failed. The Americans have failed, the Europeans have failed, the Indians have failed. The only country that succeeded in crushing terrorism and also maintaining the peace. What is very, very important is we must understand rehabilitation programs are going on. We are releasing tigers. We are releasing people who have been responsible for serious crimes. We are rehabilitating them and sending them to the world. Now you can see that the lady, that political wing chief, she, after being rehabilitated, wrote a book which throws a complete different light to what the tigers, the brutality of the tigers. But here today, the people who preached us peace, I saw them running away from the station, from the airport. 30 people have died. It's a very sad reflection that they cannot and they do not know how to control terrorism.
Indeed. We're not gloating or anything like that, but it's important for us in Sri Lanka to realize that we live in a very safe serendipity.
Absolutely. And then one of the reasons why the tourists flow to this country is because of the peace that we have maintained. We have maintained peace without a dictatorship. We have maintained peace without oppressing people. And the armed forces, especially the army, the navy and the air force and the police and the intelligence they have is remarkable.
Indeed.
And we must really appreciate the fact that when I come from home early in the morning to attend your program, I can't say no to you. Then the fact that there's peace, then absolute disturbance on the road clearly reflects how well we have maintained this status quo after the famous victory.
And that brings in nicely with what I want to also ask you. As a legal man, when you read and the press and you hear the news and so on, as a legal man, and you hear the Prime Minister say that we are committed to the UN resolution, and then there was a school of thought that we will have foreign judges here, and it's been left to our President to point out that he will not have foreign judges.
I believe the President has reiterated the fact that he will not have foreign judges and is quite confident that the competence of our judges, and I believe universally that must be accepted, our judges are very, very competent, very, very impartial and very independent, and also the fact that we have to amend the constitution, that we can't just bring in foreign judges from nowhere and ask them to sit, amend the constitution and then subject us to, permit them to sit as judges. And the President has recently come to the annual law conference of the Bar Association. That's clearly sent the message, clearly, that he will not appoint foreign judges. And he said when the High Commissioner came, there are some important matters he discussed, and this was not in the agenda. So therefore there is no reason for us to believe that if there are not enough judges, there are enough retired judges or very, very competent. Here in Sri Lanka, unlike in America, they retire at the age of 62 or 65. Right. But in US they die, they retire only when they die. They continue. And my position is, those judges there, you can always bring them, appoint them with the present judges and continue this process.
And so then the Prime Minister, our dear Prime Minister, is clutching at straws in a way, because he now, you see, the English language is very quaint, and so the Prime Minister has many straws to clutch at, and one of the such straw is his statement that Sri Lanka will have foreigners participate in the process. That's a little bit different. That's a bit different from actually.
Foreigners can participate. They can come as observers.
Yes.
Now, in fact, there are so many trials, so many inquiries that were conducted during the last regime, during Chandrika Bandara's time. Foreign judges was invited. Foreign judges, foreign jurists were invited by the Bar Association, by the International Bar Association. They came and sat as observers. But they can only observe and report back.
Right.
I don't think they should interfere. They can sit on the podium and sit on the bench and then and decide about the matters. We must understand our own cultural pattern.
That's right.
The others cannot understand. And the fact that we are in, I'm sorry to say this, as a lawyer of 44 years, I can say we are a nation of inveterate liars. There are absolutely no question of having any compunction about holding the Bible or any other religious book. They will continue to lie. No, our judges understand. Our judges feel, and then when judges can know, when a woman comes and cries, she cries just for it's an act. It's not true emotion. But the other judges would come here, they'll completely be dissuaded by this kind of thing. Now there was an instance where some women from the north cried, saying that their husbands or children had disappeared, but they knew that very well they were living in camps in the Tamil Nadu. So, but the act was so emotional, anyone would fall for that. So our judges are trained not only on the law, but also they know the basic ground situation. We can't expect the foreign judges to come and decide on these various things, because these are statements that are being made ad hoc.
That's right.
Yes. So therefore, I think the president is. I think what is the difference between the Prime Minister, as the dear Prime Minister, and the president, is that Prime Minister is more beholden to the international treaties, international conventions, and what they have been discussing and what the promises have been made. But the president has been elected by the entire population.
Yes, I was about to say that.
And then he knows the importance. He knows that we must not, under any circumstances, be pressurized to do something which is against our own suffering nature.
Indeed, it appears to me that the president is talking with the confidence of a man who has a mandate, a clear mandate, and the dear Prime Minister is talking of a man who has doesn't have that mandate, but who has a reduced mandate, and just being the largest party in Parliament.
So I believe, I disagree with my dear Prime Minister. I believe our judges are very, very competent. Now, see now, for instance, the report, CRD Search Commission. That report was hailed internationally by everyone, and it was far better than what Darusman and others prepared.
Indeed.
Darusman took from the Tamilnet certain portions and pasted on the report and said and presented that as authentic evidence. But C.R.D. Silva and also also Maxwell Parnagama, they were much more competent. They went into the whole aspect of the evidence, the culture, the background, the situation, all that, and wrote a report which is far more acceptable.
We have an interesting observation from one of our viewers. We need technical assistance in the field of HR. Foreign participation is advisable in this area. What is more important is to find out whether it is restorative justice or retributive justice that is being contemplated. This is a very grey area in the whole process. Ideally, we should have a Truth and Reconciliation Commission and proceed from there. Otherwise, from where would you draw the evidence and from what process? This is crucial, as it would apply to both the LTT and the armed forces.
I 100% agree with the contention made by the observer, because I believe ultimately it's something like the Truth and the Reconciliation Commission. You come and confess to the crimes, but you are pardoned, you are not sentenced. This, if you take the history, even today. Now, even today, when we fight terrorism, when the Americans bomb haphazardly Afghanistan, in Iraq, when children die, when innocent civilians die, what is the excuse they give? They do not attribute that as war crimes, and they simply brush it off. Now
it's collateral damage.
That is the word that they use, collateral damage. Now, why can't you call this collateral damage? Because here it's very clear, even from that book of that Tamil political wing leader, they said that they shot at every single person who crossed the border and went into the
yes, but that's because we are not sitting, and President Sirisena is not overseeing by sitting on top of huge reserves of oil or gold.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
So therefore we come right down the pecking order.
So that we can be kicked and we can be thrown here and there.
That's right.
Just because we don't have oil. But then the concept of terrorism, the concept of eradicating terrorism, and the damages that occur is the same. I have seen thousands of people dead, not in every single part where Americans have tried to win over the countries. Now, how can you justify a child being killed? You cannot. So, but they do that. They drop bombs, and they just haphazardly kill them, and they say collateral damage. I believe what happened in Jaffna can be very clearly stated is collateral damage, because when thousands and thousands of people crossed over, they were embraced by the soldiers. I know when I was in Italy, when this happened, a certain army officer called Ratnapriya telephoned and told me, "Sir, thousands of people have come, they have no water. The children are dying because there is no water. Please tell the government and ask them to send some water." I immediately telephoned Mr. Basil Rajapaksa, and he sent gallons, tanks full of water, and that situation was saved. And
it's time to take a short commercial break. Stay tuned to News First. We'll come back with more on restorative or retributive justice.
With Faraz Shaukat Ali.
Welcome back to Newsline. Good morning, and my guest this morning is Mr. Hemanta Vanakulasuriya, legal man extraordinaire, diplomat, and so on. What do you think? restorative justice or retributive justice? What is the
Restorative justice.
Yes.
Yeah. Not retributive justice.
right? Is that what is?
Yeah, what is necessary is, I believe, justice here would mean we all should get together and confess to our crimes without having inquiries, and say sorry to the other nation, and then that's all. And then we reconcile the process, and then come and even Nelson Mandela did the same thing. He was also could have been accused of various crimes and sentenced to jail. But here this is something which no one could have prevented. How could one capture the last phase where they were in a small place when they started shooting at the forces and also shooting at the civilians? I mean, thousands of civilians died. That is what that woman says, how I did not ever expect the so-called Tamil liberation tigers to shoot at their own people, whom she said she believed was their own, the only institution that protected them. So therefore, these things would have happened. I mean,
I want another view is saying to us that the Paranagama Commission received evidence on camera where over 22,000 people gave details of their loved ones being abducted. And it says here, there cannot be no more credibility than this. Should not this be the starting point? As it seems, this commission is not being taken seriously, but 22,000 people have given evidence directly on the disappearances of their loved ones, their family members, and this is being totally ignored. Why is that?
True. I do not know why. I know Mr. Paranagama, one of the most decent human beings I have.
How is his relationship with our dear Prime Minister?
I don't know that, but I think he's a very fine judge, very fine, really respected judge. And I was surprised that Mahinda Rajapaksa appointed him, because he's not a person who would ever be dictated by anyone. And then he has sat for such a long time, I'm sure a short time, and produced an excellent report. Why can't that be the basic standpoint on which we start the
There are also other strange things going on. Dark forces, perhaps even. Take the case of, you must cast your mind back now to March 2015. 3 months into a new presidency. And dear Prime Minister has written to various ministries, to all the ministries, in which he talks about unsolicited bids. And he says that unsolicited bids should not be entertained as a matter of policy. All jolly good, you'd say. I think so anyway. We must now come to the present day. In there we have a Chinese company that was re-awarded a contract, the same contract but with reduced scope. Alright, however, we now have a situation of this matter of the JDB land, just on the other side of this building in Vauxhall Street. Now we're told that the going rate per perch over there, across the road there, is between 8 and 10 million a perch. There is a sitting tenant there in this particular land, and the offer from the sitting tenant to change, they've got another project going on there, their offer is around 4.2 or 4.5 million a perch. This is approximately 50%. The line minister, in this case Kabir Hashim, in a document that is supposedly have come out from his ministry, we haven't sort of been able to verify that, but it's been in all the papers, it's not today and all that. The line minister says that this is a ridiculously low offer and that he cannot accept this ridiculously low offer in lie to the fact that he's got a much higher offer, credible higher offers from other people, but they're all unsolicited, including the offer from the existing tenant. The Prime Minister and his he has got some sort of this is an elderly, I was going to say geriatric, but an elderly advisor at the Ministry of National Planning, who's taken the view that, look, if we get into a litigation with the existing tenant, then we may end up in court for a very long time. And therefore, on those grounds, it is better to go with the lower offer, even though it is unsolicited. Now, the point is, Hemant, the point I'm trying to ask you is, should ad hoc decisions be made ignoring the due process, which is transparency, and where the Prime Minister is keen on not having unsolicited bids? So is it okay in some cases to say, oh, well, okay, because we'll end up in a legal minefield, we'll just take the lower figure? Is that...
I believe, when we all voted for this government, when I voted for this government, we all was taken by the speeches made by the Prime Minister, by various ministers of the previous government, how corrupt the previous government was, and about the mega deals that they were able to get the mega deals, and how the amount of money, the colossal amount of money they made. Now, here in this instance, Mr. Kabir Hashim, I mean the minister, does not want to sell this piece of land at that price that are quoted by the tenant. Now, how did he also, as the Minister of Transport or Highways, how did he enter into agreement with the same Chinese company about the extension of the...
I think it has been disclosed that they couldn't get out of the legal contract.
I do not know, but then they must explain to that. Explain. We do not know how did they, and what happened. We were told. We believed. We believed as a lawyer. I also believe this thing that was said, that we could have paved we could have done the whole part of the road in gold.
Yes,
it is so expensive.
In the matter of the ADB land.
So similarly, I say, whatever the consideration, whatever the problems we face about the tenant going to court and challenging this, how can we as citizens of this country accept a bid which is almost less than 50%? And I was told the government valuer, having taken into consideration that there was a tenant, having taken into consideration other things, have valued this land as 6 million a perch. 6 million. Now here, and we have got offers from 8 to 10 million. So, I mean, this is wholesale robbery, I believe. I'm sorry to say this.
Well,
under whatever circumstances you sell this, and you come and say this, then if the tenant wants, let him litigate. But we must not go behind the principle, the very principle that was pronounced by the Prime Minister, that there cannot be unsolicited bids. There must be transparency. Everyone should accept. They should know. And then these are things that the people should know.
There were over 20 people at this meeting, and some official or secretary in the line ministry had been summoned to this meeting and was given a time of 11 o'clock and then was seen at 12 o'clock, and he entered this building, in this office, where there were many people, including ministers, and the Prime Minister said to him, "Oh, it's you. Do you think I'm a rogue? Do you think you can write to my officials and block my projects?" Well, a number of things astonished this official who had no idea what on earth the Prime Minister was going on about because he was involved in this thing. But the official proceeded to tell the Prime Minister, to venture to tell the Prime Minister that it is he who had written about unsolicited bids and that there is a circular to that effect. And up until that moment, this official didn't know that this was the Prime Minister's project, because he said my project. So he thought, oh really? Well, we didn't know this, you know. He was too embarrassed and too shocked at the ranting and raving that was going on. They have a plausible explanation, of course, that they may end up in stuck in a mire of litigation. But nevertheless, when you ignore the process, it becomes ad hoc, and therefore there is no difference in what they accuse the other side of.
Every single, now say even the highway, the project, they say that they can't get out of the legal contract they have entered into. But then ultimately what happened? We pay the same amount, and we reduce the number of lanes and various things. So similarly here also, I mean, every single project you can say that there is some problem, and therefore we have to give this to the lowest bid. I mean, so that is not a plausible explanation, because everybody knows, accept that the Prime Minister is a very honourable man, and Prime Minister has shown that he was an honourable man. So therefore, by doing this, you know, there's questions that will be asked.
I'm not suggesting it for a moment that he is dishonourable, but what I am saying is that he appears to be very dictatorial.
I mean that was his nature right from the beginning. But my position is,
were you in school with him?
Yeah, that's right. He was much junior to us. But my position for us is that how can you inform your subordinates that this is the policy? The policy was formulated by a political process where everyone said wanted transparency, wanted wheeler dealing out. And
unfortunately, we've run out of time there. Hemant, so thank you very much for an entertaining half hour. And the greatest thing in the world is to know how to belong to oneself. On that note, I'll wish you a very good morning. Thank you for watching Newsline. Take care and God bless.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukut Ali.